Podcast kláštera.
Hello and welcome. You are listening to our Monastery podcast, which is being recorded as a part of the 6th Symposium of Illustration. Meet this year's participants and see what else we have to offer on our Facebook, Instagram or our website www.symposiumillustrace.cz. This is your host, Štěpánka Jislová. Dear listeners, hello and welcome. Today I am joined by Remi Juliebø, our Norwegian artist, illustrator, and he's proficient in many other things, which we will be talking about today. Hello, Remi.
Hello.
And sorry for butchering your name.
That's okay. It's not easy to pronounce even in Norwegian. I get asked all the time.
Oh, so if even Norwegians can't do it, then I don't feel too bad.
You're off the hook.
So, how are you liking it here so far?
It's been amazing. It's just like the feeling of like first coming to the Czech Republic, and then it was like summer. I came from snow and sleet, and it was just like amazing. And I had some couple hours in Prague, and just like, oh my god, take it in. And then I came to the monastery, and I was like, the beauty was breathtaking. I was just like taken aback, and I was like in a sort of shock. Like I couldn't like figure out like why am I here, and I can't believe it. It's a dream, you know.
Why you?
Yeah, exactly.
But this is not your first time in Czech Republic, right? Because you have connection in your family to Czech Republic?
Yeah, my wife is half Czech, so her mom and her family moved to Norway during the communism. And we still have contact with her mom and her uncle and aunt who also live in Oslo.
Oh, so do you sometimes visit like some
I have been
relatives,
like
or?
I have never been like visiting relatives, but I've been to Prague once.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of a shame. We always talk about going, but you know, there's some other cities like more tempting.
Yeah, sure. But it found you in the end here.
And she's like envious that I'm here now, especially having a springtime.
Oh yeah. Is this your first time in a monastery?
Yeah.
Like living, working?
Yeah, I think I visited once. I don't remember, but I think I must have, you know.
Yeah. And when you look around, you've seen a big part of Broumov, you've been hiking around.
Yeah.
Are you going to use all of these influences in your project here for the residency exhibition?
Yeah, that's kind of what I planned to do. I didn't want to plan to do anything specific in case, you know, it felt like flat when I came here. So I wanted to come here, be inspired by the place and the mood and the people. Let's not forget all the amazing other people. And just like figure out what I want to do and then try to do it in time, because I usually end up taking a huge bite of the pie, which I like struggle to swallow, you know. It's like it goes along and then it's like you have just some few days left and you just have to work 24 hours.
So that's better for you. It works better for you if you have a deadline and it kind of makes you do it. Yeah,
deadlines are great for me.
Yeah?
I do my best work the day before deadlines.
I couldn't do that. I get just stressed by deadlines.
I guess that's the graphic design part in me, I guess.
Yeah?
It's more structured.
Is that typical for graphic designers?
Yeah, I think so. Especially like the people I went to school with, and I felt like the second year of school, it was just like relaxing and having fun, researching, and then at the end of the week as well, like working all hours a day, and then celebrating we're done. And then we went out of town, and I don't think I slept that whole year, you know. It was always working or drinking.
So it's just going from coffee and energy drinks straight to like celebration beer and wow.
No energy drinks, but yeah.
But you are not just a graphic designer. You are, well, maybe tell us, what are your identities?
I guess I would classify myself as a graphic designer / illustrator, because I'm not like an illustrator by trade. Like I haven't done any like education for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm self-taught in that way. But the graphic design part is I don't have a bachelor or stuff because I went to private school who didn't use those terms.
Okay.
But it's okay, you know. In that kind of line of business, it's more like show us your work and.
Exactly. You don't need a diploma when you have a portfolio.
Exactly. So yeah, I guess I would call myself a graphic designer and illustrator.
But when one looks at your portfolio, it is really expensive. You do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I guess that's where the art director part comes in. Because in a way, I try to be like a one-man agency. So I do the layout and I do the print files and I do the ideas and I do the sketching. I'll do like the whole thing, and I like to like challenge myself to have like just try something else and see what happens.
But it's really, especially when it comes to the styles and the techniques that you show proficiency in, it can almost feel like there is a bunch of people behind your account. And our listeners, if you want to see what Remi is doing, then go preferably to his Instagram, where you can find him as Deformat, right?
Yeah, .no.
Yes. So how do you find order in all of these? Because it's not just the techniques, but you have illustrations that focus on color, on space, then you have like this old-timey ink drawings, like there's a little bit of everything.
Yeah. So the question was like, how do I focus?
Yeah, how do you work with that many styles?
It's like if you go to a candy store and you see like, oh, that looks good, and you want to pick one, I pick everyone and I just try everything. Every time I'm inspired by something, I make something new. Like it's not like I wanna like steal some other people's style or something, but I just wanna see if it could add to my style, or like I could develop my own style even better if I tried that style. You know, I think it's like a mixed bag of. I think I have a drawing style, but it constantly changes, and I just more like client focused. So I want to be able to deliver whatever style they want.
I actually relate to this a lot because I also don't have one specific style, and I always try to find a style that fits the atmosphere of said project.
Yeah.
That's something you go after as well.
Yeah, it's like at the end of the day, it's a business, and of course the client has to be happy, but you want to be happy doing it too. So, and you won't be happy doing something you really struggle with or like something you don't like. So sometimes I just I'm pretty good also at like pushing the clients in the right directions and making the right kind of mood boards and sketches and stuff. So I can lead them into where I want to do.
All right.
Because that's kind of why everything is so different. Because once I've done one project, I don't want to do that style again for a while. So then I'll just like, what I want to do. And then I'll try to like pick a client and I was like, what about this? And then you try something else.
Yeah. Well, is there a style that you really don't want to come back to? Is there something that was maybe too much of a hassle?
Yeah, pointillism.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you're telling me that pointillism is pointless?
No, I'm telling it was too hard for me.
Yeah.
It took so much time, and I had to skip 2 weeks of summer vacation to make the deadline. It was just like, and I think I went through like 2 of these pen tips on the iPad pencil.
Oh my god!
It was just like super crazy, and at the end I wasn't like really happy with the result either. And there's people who do this much better than me, so I'm gonna leave it to them.
Do you also mix it up with analog techniques, or is digital mostly your space?
No, I like the iPad. The iPad is amazing, but it took me a while to get used to the iPad and to get my own style back. But it all depends on the project. Sometimes I just need to do analog stuff, especially now on the rise of the AI.
Oh yeah.
So now I've been leaning a lot into like papercraft and like collages and stuff like that, just because it's so analog.
Well, that's interesting. It sounds like you're always trying to find a new way how to approach like creativity and art.
Yeah.
That's important for you to not to get bored with what you're doing.
Yeah, because that's kind of my biggest fear, to have a job where I think it's more of a job than a fun time, I guess.
Yeah. We often talk in this podcast about balancing the professional side of things and the inner turmoil of an artist.
Yeah, that's true.
So I would be interesting to hear if you have an example of a project you worked on that you talked with your client, and to kind of for us to get a glimpse into how this conversation looks like, especially because you have so many styles you can offer.
Yeah, let's say I do a cover art, you know, and I don't get artists, they don't come to me because of a specific style. I just feel like I can interpret their music and make it into something they wouldn't expect. So this is my approach. I always try to talk to them, what's the album about, and ask the gritty question, is it about this and this, what does this mean? And it's just try to scrape away all the extra paint and the gloss, and then try to get to the core of the music, and then I think about it, and then the idea comes first, and then how I'm gonna do it. So the idea comes before the execution.
So you communicate them the idea?
Yeah, we have a couple of brainstorming meetings, and then I just do loose sketches on okay, what about this, and I sketch something really ugly, and they but look it, and then I make a mood board, and then we talk about the mood board, and then I just try to start working. And even if it's an ink drawing or a picture of a bunch of sticks, it's just the reason why they go through with it with me, I guess, is because I work so much with understanding their art and interpreting it, and they're okay, this makes sense, and then it's of course it has to be this cover because it makes sense to the artist as well.
Are cover arts something you consider your specialty?
Yeah.
How did you get to it? That's very niche, and
because that's a list I had just when I was a young designer. I wanted to go to art school, and I wanted to do music stuff, and I wanted to do skateboards, and
skateboards,
and I wanted to do animation. And first I started with making comics when I was super young, before I thought about designing as a career. And I was just me and myself in my basement, and drawing comics for myself about superheroes from my hometown.
Oh, so you came up with your own characters?
I have my whole universe, and I self-published and sold, and I made a skate team, and we made shirts and sweaters.
Oh my god, what an origin story!
And then when time came for college, I applied for art school in Bergen, a pretty high-end art school in Norway. I didn't get in, so I worked a year at a fish factory.
Fish factory?
Yeah, I had to get money, and I had to focus on the next year's application. So then I applied to every cool art college in Norway, the Oslo one, the Bergen one, and another one called Westerdals, School of Design, no, School of Communication. And I got in there. I got in everywhere, but when I was in Bergen and doing live drawing, the nude models and stuff, it was a part of a second part of the test when you have to come in. Then I got a phone call from this charismatic dude in Oslo from Westerdals, and he said you're in, a Dutch dude. And he's okay, well, I was shaking. I was okay, well, what are we gonna do now? Come to a party. Listen.
That's a good answer.
Yeah,
come to a party.
Yeah, come to a party, and you'll get to know the other ones. And I was I told the guy at the other school I was currently doing the test, and I was I'm gonna go. It's that's a shame, you would have gotten in. And I was what's happening?
You were the prettiest girl at the prom.
Yeah, and on the bus back to my hometown, I was shaking and giddy, and I was couldn't believe it. And then I had 3 years of that school in Oslo.
Mm-hmm.
Met some really amazing people, and my mentor, the Dutch guy, Paul von Brunschot. He was a really nice. He really made me like think about how I approach like projects and like question myself without the stupid self-doubt stuff, but really like dig, and almost like you're about to like break yourself, but you just ask the hardest questions, and then you have to defend yourself against yourself.
Yeah. So you internalized your mentor.
Yeah, and so he died a couple of years back.
Oh, that's too bad.
That's really bad. I was thinking about it when I was in the mountains yesterday, actually. He would have loved it there. But what was the question again?
I don't know, but this is interesting.
Yeah, I think it was something about schools and...
yeah, we were talking about the cover art, but now I am like... Yeah, if it's not too much of a trouble, but like what makes a good mentor?
Yeah, I think it also helps if you have daddy issues.
I mean, yes, correct.
Yes. So this Paul, he was just right for me, but he made like people quit.
Yeah, he was too strict.
Yeah, I was like brutally honest. I guess he was a little bit on the spectrum. He wasn't like, didn't care about your feelings. But he cared about people. We bought them gifts, and like when he went abroad, he just brought some. I saw something, thought about you, and here you go.
That's really thoughtful.
Yeah, and he was just a cool guy, and the way he was like always like open to like join our activities as students, but he was a teacher. Like he would grab beer and he would like tell us about stuff we never heard about and show us inspiration and stuff. But the way he did like feedback was just like, just asked you why until you were up against the wall, and you're like, I don't know why.
Just losing your sense of identity.
Yeah, and that made me kind of feel like I had to like learn how to like defend something, like any choice when making a design.
Because it's kind of a very specific relationship. Like a mentor is someone who needs to be a bit above you in the professional space, but also very charismatic, so you actually respect them.
Yeah.
But then like being a friend, but not too much of a friend.
Yeah, there's a hard line to walk.
Yeah. Have you become a mentor for someone?
No, but I have ever had interns at my studio.
You did?
Yeah, I had like 4.
That's kind of a mentorship, right?
Yeah. I had not 5. I had one before I was like a company as well. And it's fun. I always feel like a lot of pressure. Like, did you learn something? Like, yeah.
Like, what did you?
Am I pushing you too much? And stuff like that.
So, what's your approach to mentoring then?
I guess kind of like letting the kids off at the deep end of the pool. It's like I want to see you solve this, and then I can come and like pick up the pieces. I guess I just want to see what you come up with. And then sometimes it's hard because they went somewhere you didn't want them to go, and then you're like, okay, but how about this and how about this? And I can guide them, I guess. I had one intern that actually became my employee. Mm-hmm. He was with me for 3 years, something like that. And then COVID came, and since I only do culture stuff, it was hard to be 2 people. I also had a freelancer as well, so we were a good gang of 3 for a while there.
But let me build on that, because you have a business of selling prints.
Selling prints.
How does that look like? Did it change like pre-COVID, post-COVID? What is that exactly?
Well, the studio is the store, so it's like both a store and a working spot.
What's the name of the store?
Deformat.
Oh, it's the same, alright?
Yeah. So I have drop-in clients come to buy prints, because I have like everything on the walls and in the windows and stuff. And it was just like a bonus thing because I wanted to, I like to meet people. So to have come in, I have on my sign it says welcome in and stuff like that, but 4 riso prints, big prints, and small talk. I was like, beware of small dog. So I figured out like after COVID, I was like, I really love like talking to people. I never noticed. I thought I was like a real introvert, but maybe I wasn't after all.
You really missed it during those 2 years.
Yeah. And I've always been like, to be nice to people is so nice, and I just like to like find out how people think, and if I could help them in some way. Yeah.
But is your studio like always open? Like, do you have opening hours? No?
It's like, if I'm there, it's open.
Okay.
So I have blinds on the windows and a gate in front of the door, so if that's locked, then I'm not there.
I was thinking if it's like something in between an atelier and a shop, but that would, like, people could just come in anytime, like you might lose your concentration and... Yeah,
I actually do that sometimes. I have a meeting, for example, and someone come in, but usually it goes okay. Even though I have to use 5 minutes to stop the dog from barking. So it's like,
But I have to mention what you said yesterday, that you made a little extra business during the pandemic.
Yeah. As everybody else, I started baking sourdough, and I just couldn't get enough. It was so hard, to make a good bread, and I think that was what drew me to it. And you had to like try and fail and try. I had so many failed breads, and all of a sudden, you kind of make it work, and then it's like, this is nice. I want to get better, and then it's like, this is super nice. I'm really happy. I should become the best baker in Oslo.
And did you?
No, but actually I'm an amateur, but I ended up on one like food bloggers top 3 breads in Oslo.
Oh, cool!
So
Congrats!
second place. So that's really nice. But then I baked 6 breads each Friday, and they were like pre-reserved. And then people come and pick them up on Friday, and I have fresh bread for the weekend.
But you didn't continue with it after the pandemic?
No, well, after a while I did it a while, but then the electric bill and stuff it didn't like make sense to spend like 2,000 kroners in electricity to make 6 breads.
Okay. So it wasn't just your like muscles and hands; it actually required like...
Yeah, and also I had to say wake up at 4:30.
Oh wow! Yeah, right.
So it was kind of a different life combined with it.
But I think it fits nicely into this like need for experimentation.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna quote your CV here real quick.
Okay.
He diligently works to blur the boundaries between commercial graphic design, illustration, and art. That sounds very
pretentious.
intentional. Let's stick with intentional.
Okay. Yeah, but I always wanted to do art. I was actually like what's the name when a painter takes on a student? That's an apprentice, right? Or is it?
Yeah, apprentice. Yeah.
So I was an apprentice at an oil painter, like local oil painter. That year I worked at fish factory, and I like artists. They're like, they don't care about nothing else but their art, and I think that's kind of cool. So I always wanted to do like more art stuff, and I wanted to do art that can like last, and I want to do, because I worked in advertising, and a billboard is up 2 weeks and then it's gone forever.
Yeah.
I think that's just soul sucking. It's just the worst for somebody who wants to do art.
Yeah, the never-ending cycle of producing stuff that disappears.
And you don't respect your clients, and you think they're the devil. It's like you don't want to do that. So even though the pay was good. So I guess I always wanted to like do art, but like in a art, functional art, if that makes sense.
Like art that has use, right?
And then you have cover art. Like some albums or album covers aren't great, but they are great because they're classics. And you never know which one will be the next classic like cover, and then it will probably live on forever. You know, these classic album covers, like everybody knows the Clash, London Calling, and by extension the Elvis Presley one. So it's just, that's why I wanted to like say I'm blurring out the lines, because I want to like push the envelope on how much art can a commercial product be, you know?
That it can be both. It can be a good piece of art, but also it can be commercially viable. Yeah.
And also do the art prints, and I want to start painting again. It's like I always want more, you know?
Well, talking about commercially viable, there is one piece that really caught my attention. So, may our listeners try to imagine following, which is a hand-carved, mold-covered skull. It's for a band. The band is called Force-Feeded Horsehead.
Force-fed. Force-fed
Oh, right,
horsehead.
I just cannot read.
Yeah.
So, that's a symbol for a band. How did that come to be?
It was... the guitarist in that band was a freelancer. He shared an office with me.
Ah, okay.
So when the time came when they wanted to do a record, they said like, okay, now we're starting the record. Just think about what you want to do. And I'm like, okay, anything? So like, yeah, just go nuts. And then it was like I thought about a lot of things, and then had this huge drawing plan, more like 16th century drawing, like maybe like Dante's Inferno style, and it never like quite fit, I felt. And then all of a sudden he was like, okay, now it's like we want to have the cover ready soon. Okay, and I'm like, okay, here's my idea. I have never sculpted, but I want to do that. So let's go buy clay, and you'll join me on the project, and we'll make this thing together. And so we just sat down, and we had like small plans, because I had been to the forest and tried to gather some fungus and like stuff like that. So maybe I had some spores with me. So we did the skull in one evening. We never done a skull before, like sculpture, so the wireframe inside is just like plastic pots and silver foil and fish, no, not fish, but ice cream sticks and you know, a lot of tape, you know, and just like a ball of rolled paper inside the skull. So, and then we just molded it together, and it's like, this is not good enough, and then it's okay, let's start covering it with food. Cream cheese, liver pate, banana, coffee grounds, like everything we thought my mama could contribute to some interesting molds. And then we put it in a plastic box and waited. And it turned out pretty, I didn't know, that was kind of the cool thing. It's like I had no idea how it's going to turn out. And I kept feeding it sometimes.
What did you...
like yogurt or different stuff, and some water inside there for the humidity. So after like, I think it was 4 or 6 months, then it was like, I think it's ready. So then, and also I was ready to get it out, because the office was smelling. Even though it was in the box, it was just like stinking.
Did different kind of mold came out from different parts of the food?
Yeah, especially you probably seen the pink mold on top of coffee grounds. So you had like different, but all were like super, they were super delicate, like almost like foamy.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
So it wasn't like any like mushrooms sticking out or nothing, but there was it just made this kind of like overgrown, like foresty vibe.
Yeah, like a fragile cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And fuck, I just remembered it's in the basement.
It still lives.
Yeah. I thought we threw it out.
Well, maybe they need to do another album and then you can, yeah.
Oh my
or like
God.
the best of.
Yeah. So yeah, then I asked my wife, she's a photographer, to take the photos. And she was like, I need gloves and like a breathing mask. And let's do this quick. And we did it, and it turned out really nice. And I made this like I always do this on projects. I love textures and stuff. I don't know if you noticed, but I can't like have clean backgrounds or.
Yeah.
So I do my own textures a lot. So I scan in stuff and I experiment. So this one I actually scanned in like a piece of plastic from that box. I broke it off and I scanned it, and it was like grayish. So I put the textures on and all the design. I wanted the design to be super clean and like minimalist because I wanted the art to be like in front row. And I was really happy with it, and they were too. And the album is about like the legend of how man is going to destroy himself.
Yeah, so the rot is quite applicable.
Yeah, and also the Ubermensch, like the unicorn skull is kind of like a symbol on like the more we try to like make the best version of ourselves, the more we're doomed in a way. So yeah.
Yeah, it fits really nicely. And it's really cool. It came out great.
Thank you.
Well, I'm thinking, amongst all of these projects, do you have time to do your own like authorial stuff, or is that something that's not really interesting to you?
No, I have to sometimes because I get tired of like one project. I have to like sometimes you get you run out of steam.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna take a drink here. Yeah, so you run out of steam, and then sometimes I just need to finish something just to feel like energized again. And then I do some author stuff. Like if I have a bunch of like half finished drawings on my iPad or like projects I want to do. So I'm like focusing on that and making a print, and then it's like hands-on work as well. And then when I finish that, I feel like we were rejuvenized, and I wanted to keep on trucking on the other one.
Is there some kind of a dream project that you want to do like for you on your own?
Yeah, but that's not like illustration. That's the bakery.
That's the bakery?
Yeah.
Oh,
pizza and bakery. And the farm. I want a simpler life.
Oh, right. Would you be doing some kind of sweet pastry?
I have to learn how to do that, but I would probably...
Then I'll be there.
Okay. The whole idea is like I want to have, the farm, and like the barn is turned into a studio, an atelier, and like a kitchen studio. I have a long table in the middle. Then we make sourdough pizza with the veggies from the garden, and people bring their own beer, or I make my own beer, and then we have like the community party.
That sounds wonderful.
That's dreams. And also I have to do with the profile for that, and I probably do way too much design on something that doesn't need it.
On the brand of the farm and the brand of the pizza. Well, that's a nice little extra touch.
Yeah.
Well, I have one last questions for you, and that's since we are blessed to have people outside from Czechia visit us this year, then I would like to ask you, what would you recommend, like illustration-wise, be it a festival or a person to follow from Norway that we and our listeners could get on?
Like illustration from Norway, or like inspiration from Norway? I guess there's a lot of good ones. There's a lot of good ones, and you have like, I don't think we have any illustration festivals. We have like a festival or like this showcases for like the show the winners of like the design competitions and stuff like that, but we don't have any like festivals, I think. But you have the comics expo and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, comics, it's a small but big community. It's like they're really visible and loud, but they're really small.
Yeah. It's usually a bunch of people who are very into it.
Yeah. So we have a couple of comic stuff, and but the illustration is not like the same thing. And we have you have art, like you have the drawers company, people who like do like old-timey pencil drawings, or more like the etch prints and stuff like that. They have their community, and the designers have their community. Illustration has actually been taken into the design community, like they do lawyer work, or and you can apply for grants and have stuff like that. But yeah, inspiration. It's too many to mention, just to check out the people I follow, I guess.
Ah, cool. That's a good way how to get some followers yourself.
Yeah, true.
Smart. No, but I would really recommend checking Remi's profile and, of course, all of his colleagues. Thank you for your time, Remi.
Thank you for having me.
Do you want to meet the other participants as well? Listen to their episodes on SoundCloud, YouTube and Facebook. This was your host, Štěpánka Jislová.
Podcast z kláštera.